The following is an exclusive production of Minuteman Command. The Flagship Pod with your hosts, ESPN personalities Mike Corey and Rene Ingoglia, is on the air. Brought to you by Todd Fritz Roofing, with insight and info from UMass and MAC insiders. From the Command Studios, here are your hosts, Mike and Rene.
What's going on? Hey, it's our final show of June, Rene. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it. It's our 10th episode, and we're almost in July. It's unreal how fast everything's moving.
My goodness. What's going on in your world right now? You're busy, like 3 weeks.
So I mentioned it last podcast. So for those, the other football, right? The football fans. FIFA World Cup Club is in the United States right now. So basically, my other career, as you know, in law enforcement, I was able to pick up a job. So basically 22 straight days working for FIFA, no days off. I'm going in late today because we have a match here in Orlando. For those that don't know, we dropped this pod on Wednesday. We recorded on Tuesday. So it's Tuesday, the 24th. I just mentioned that. So, yeah, there's a 9 p.m. game tonight in Orlando. So, so I've been super busy, but it's all good. And it'll roll right into my family vacation and then come back. When I come back from vacation, 10 days, I go up to Charlotte for the American Athletic Conference Media Days, July 24th and 25th. And then, once Media Days comes, we're rolling. And I know you, Mike, you were in kind of witness protection. You moved. That's official now. You might hear some Bob the Builders in the background because you still have some construction going on in your new home.
Yes, exactly. I'm in Pennsylvania now. I got to get the word out to everybody, but for right now, because we're just kind of trickling in the move. We got some people doing some work on the house, but I am now a Pennsylvania resident, so I'm excited about that.
Congrats on the move. And for those that haven't, it's one thing when you move by yourself, or even it's just you and your wife. Once you have kids and there's a family involved, man, it is an ordeal. I know you realize that, especially. You're doing, you're remodeling the house. I've moved 3 times. It's miserable. But you have, and I'm going to say this, you have a beautiful new home and a beautiful pool, which is perfect because I'm told the Northeast has a heat wave going on right now. So you should be out by the pool right now doing this pod.
I know. I should have been. It's 100 degrees right now. I'd be sweating to death, though. It was 98 yesterday. It's 100 today. We're going to get our daughter, Delaney. She's going to go in the pool. She loves it. She's excited. But you're right. You can't, fortunately, we were able to kind of trickle some stuff. Well, I say trickle, but move it in gradually. But the official move is this weekend, so we're now definitely out of New Jersey. But it's a lot. It's definitely a lot, but it's fun. It's exciting. I'm glad it worked out like this with the summertime when we're not doing anything. So you come back. You got American Media Days. I got the Conference USA Media Day on July 22nd down at the PGA headquarters there, Frisco, Texas.
Yeah, nice area. I've been there, and actually. I don't know if it's usually our good friend and colleague at ESPN, Dustin Fox, does the MAC Media Days. So I got to get with Dustin because if he does MAC Media Days, we'll have Dustin on after Media Days to give us the lowdown. So we got all the angles covered here for UMass football.
We do. And I wanted to tell you, and I forgot to tell you before we came on, but I'll just do it right now. I was talking to our good friend Mark Vandermeer, former police UMass Minutemen back in the day. He called me last night. He wants to come on the pod and join us. So I said, okay, sounds good. Probably a couple weeks, said 2 or 3 weeks. But he's got some great stories from back in the day doing UMass football and basketball. And he arrived when I did the Final Four year in 1995.
Yeah, so for those that don't know Mark Vandermeer, voice of UMass, like you said, 95. So he called my senior season, and now he's the voice of the Houston Texans for those that don't know. So he'll be a great guest.
Their inception. I mean, this he was just telling me about it. This is his 24th season coming up, broadcasting Houston Texans football on the radio. And then he does tons of other stuff in the broadcasting and works.
And it's such a small world because his analyst is Andre Ware, a coworker of ours at ESPN, because a lot of those guys, do both NFL and college. So, all right, we'll stop boring people. We're 4 minutes in. So you mentioned it, almost July, middle of summer. What does that mean? It's magazine season, right? So I'm an old school guy. I go to Barnes & Noble. I buy magazines. I noticed on Twitter, some UMass fans not happy where UMass is picked in these magazines. And I will say our good friends at the Curse of U, I was on their thread, and they're right. They're 100% right. UMass has done nothing to deserve, a high prediction in the MAC, right? They just haven't. Now, do I think they're going to do better than where they're predicted? I do. So, but I agree with the curse of you, but it's still kind of disheartening when you're a fan, right? And okay, it's a new coaching staff. There's a commitment. There's the money. Recruiting is through the roof. Transfer portal. This is our year. It's still disheartening. So I say that you're not a magazine person, right?
No, I don't usually look at them. I don't know. For whatever reason, I just feel like, and they do a hell of a job too. What's the big one? The Phil Steele?
Well, Phil Steele is the one. I will say this about Phil Steele. So I went to Barnes & Noble. Usually it's there. It wasn't there. So I don't know if it's just not out yet or he's not selling them through like Barnes & Noble. I love Phil Steele. I'm a simpleton, right? Guys, I'm a former football player and I was a cop. I'm a simpleton. He has so much information in that damn magazine that I can't process it. It's like paralysis by analysis. So, but I do usually get it. The two magazines I picked up, just because they were there, it's not an endorsement one way or the other. I picked up Athlon and Lindy's, so the two magazines that we're going to be talking about today. So, and like I said, I'm old school. So like, when I'm on a plane, I'll pull them out. I'm going on vacation. I have them. And then if I can't find what I want in that magazine, I go digital like everyone else. You just look it up.
Isn't it more for like just kind of like a background refresher? Hey, here's our thoughts coming up on the season, because everything changes and then you get all these new players that come in, the stupid portal, things are different. So like if you're in week 8, you're not really pulling that out.
No.
Like, hey, what's this thing about, whatever. I mean, you just see who they lost. And
a little inside baseball. You're 100% right. So the magazines all have had to basically change how they work because of the portal. Because when the portal first hit, you were reading a magazine, you're like, this guy's not even on this team anymore. He's over here. They've done a really good job with that because they knew they had to adjust on the fly. But to your point, you're 100% right. The first probably 3 weeks of the season, I'll go to this magazine. And again, it's just a little – it's like, oh, you have a question about who the DC was. I could look it up too, but I'm just kind of old school. I go to the magazine, and the magazine's great because – in a 2-page spread, you have the results from last year. Oh, what did they do against this team? I mean, you can look it up too. Don't get me wrong. Anything in the magazine you can look up. But again, I'm old school, so I grab the magazines. So with that said, we're going to have a little fun because you haven't looked at the magazine. So I'm going to ask you a couple particular magazines. Where do you think in the preview UMass is ranked? We'll see if you can come close, and then we'll go with it. We'll start with Lindy's magazine. 13 teams in the MAC now, right? Northern Illinois is still in there before they move on to the Mountain West, which is probably after this season, but I could be wrong. But they're still in the MAC this year. 13 teams, Mike Corey, Lindy's magazine. Where is UMass predicted to finish in the MAC?
11th.
Close. 12th. They got them 12 with Kent State 13.
13, okay.
And again, people are upset, but I agree with it. UMass hasn't done anything to garner a higher ranking to this point. Do I agree with that? No, because I think they're going to be much better, okay, based on, it's funny, you read these magazines and I'm like, okay, I'm an analyst. I watch a lot of football. I've been with ESPN. This will be my 16th year. I'm a quote-unquote expert. And then you read these magazines, you start scratching your head like, am I an idiot? Maybe I'm dumb. Like, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about,
No, give me the next one. What's the next one?
Okay, so Athlon, same thing, top 13. Where do you think they were ranked?
13.
12. They put them the exact same. And Kent
State last in both?
Kent State last in both. And so they give you like a little write-up. Lindy's does. So for UMass, it said the Minutemen should be improved on the defensive side. They're going to be improved on every side. Let me just say that, okay? It says bad news. The offense has been bad for a long time. The offense is going to be way better. Everything is going to be better. I don't even think I'm going out on a limb saying that. It said our call back in the MAC. UMass 2-10 last year has a long climb ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to sound like a broken record because I've said this on multiple podcasts. And the reason I go to Buffalo, okay, because it's an apples to apples comparison. Okay. It's a team in the MAC that was bad. They brought in a new coaching staff and Pete Lembo. They did not bring in star players in the portal, okay? Yeah, they got their All-American linebacker back who went in the portal because he was going to leave. He wasn't happy with that coaching staff. Once Lembo, he came back, but he was already on the team, okay?
Yeah.
Remember, they won 9 games last year and won a bowl game, okay? So I went back and did a little research since we're doing magazine talk. Athlon, who just had UMass 12-13, where do you think they had Buffalo ranked last year? Now, remember, there was only 12 teams last year, right? So
11.
Where was Buffalo?
11
10.
Yeah.
10. So very similar to where UMass was, right?
Yeah.
Not only did Buffalo win 9 games in a bowl game, they were 6-2 in conference. They were only 1 game away from tied for first place. Okay, so again, that's what you call a 180. And there is absolutely no reason why UMass can't do that. And we've said this before. For the UMass fans that are just hungry for anything positive, right? Buffalo was 9 wins, right? And 1 win away from being tied for first. UMass fans, if you pulled them all, they'd be like, just give us 6 wins in a bowl game, and we will be ecstatic, and we'll go from there, right? Am I wrong?
You're right. You're absolutely right. And you know who's really excited about this ranking, to be honest with you? I bet you Joe Harrisimiak and the whole coaching staff. I love it.
Yeah.
Fine. Pick them last, pick them second to last, whatever, because that's the best spot. They don't have any reason to be like, 6. And then they will totally overachieve. The preseason rankings mean nothing today.
Correct.
On anything, to be honest with you. Like, maybe sometimes they get the top few right and they shift around a little bit, but there's always going to be a big mover. You know what I mean? But you're right. There's no reason to say, we're just going to pretend they're going to be 6th or 7th right now. No, they haven't shown anything. But the good news is, when you say apples to apples, they weren't getting their asses kicked by these teams. They should have beaten half of these teams, by the way, the last 2 or 3 years, screwed it up at the end. They're going to be fine. I mean,
and so when you look at these previews, and I understand these magazines put a lot in it. When you look at UMass 2-10, they weren't like us analyzing that schedule last year, knowing that team should have won 4 or 5 games easily last year.
Right?
Should have. They pissed away some games. We know that. There's more rankings that I want you to we're going to talk about here. But let me say this about this stuff, because you brought it up. As a former player, you should never, you shouldn't need a magazine or an opposing team to say something to get you motivated, right? You shouldn't. As a player, you need to be self-motivated. And I think every player is. But I do think this helps, because I think in the back of your mind, when you get shit on, right, enough, you're like, you know what? In the back of your mind, I just think, again, you go a little harder. It can't hurt, to your point, when you get played like that.
Perspective. So, like, when you played, because I was interested to hear if any of these kind of things happen. I remember, like, now this is way the hell back, like in high school or something. Somebody wrote something in the article about our team and whatever, and then the coach took it and they plastered it on the lockers. Or they
bulletin board material,
Hey, this is what they're saying about you.
Yeah.
Did you get any of that when you played? Did anybody say something? Did you?
A little bit from newspaper articles, but you got to remember the amount of news that is out there at the player's disposal today. It's crazy. Back in the 90s, it was limited. So if an article was written and it came across you but I mean, it was it was hard. It just the information wasn't there. Remember, there was no podcasts. There was magazines, but it wasn't to the magnitude it was.
Trying to protect everybody from all the information. Just stop looking at it. Don't look at it. Look,
it's impossible.
You and I laugh about this all the time. Like, our friends, and our coworkers will, get all pissed off, when they finish up a game and somebody on Twitter says, you suck, or, you frig this up, or whatever it was. And I go to them and I say to you, I've said it, I'm like, guys, we have hundreds of thousands of people listening, watching these games that we do. You can only hope that 3 people on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it now say you suck.
Yeah.
That's a great day. You know what I mean?
And it's happened to you. It's happened to me. It's happened to all of us where now I have a rule. I don't go on X, because people inevitably every game someone says you suck and you're the worst broadcaster in the world. It happens every game.
Get pissed when their team
the funny thing is, you're doing something okay when you get it from both teams, different teams. So you're like, okay, and that happens to everyone. But I get done doing a game. I'm in a good mood. I'm not going to read some jerk's post from his mom's basement. I don't care. So I don't worry about it.
Cheering for this team. Like, no, we're not cheering for the other team. Your team just sucked and they were losing. So you got to yell.
Real quick, you made me think of a story. When I used to engage on X and Twitter, I was doing UCF Houston one year.
Okay.
It was actually George O'Leary's last year. They didn't win a game. UCF didn't win a game, and then Scott Frost comes in after the fact. But they were horrible. Houston was beating them at UCF. It was like, honest to God, it was like Houston was up by like 40. And I said something. The guy comes on Twitter and goes, "Oh my God, what a homer for UCF." And I freaking, during the game, I sent the guy, I responded. I go, "Bro, your team's up by 40. Cut him some slack." You know what I mean? Like, give me a break. So some people just can't be happy. But okay, anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
There's some more rankings here, Mike. And so this is going to be interesting. I want to see these are going to be good. I'm going to have to put my glasses on, folks.
Yeah, do it.
You're in your 50s,
No, I'm getting there.
Listen to this. There's now 136 teams in the FBS, okay? The newest two additions, Delaware, you used to be the voice of Delaware, near and dear to your heart, and Missouri State, both going to Conference USA. So there's now 136, okay?
136.
Both of these magazines happen to rank all 136 FBS teams. Even the two that I just mentioned that haven't played an FBS season. They're just transitioning. We'll go to my left. Lindy's magazine. Out of 136 FBS football programs, where was UMass ranked in their preview?
131.
135. Close.
So either Delaware or Missouri State, who hasn't even been in FBS yet, is ranked higher than UMass.
You're in my mind, because who do you think 136 is?
Kent State.
Kent State. So they're basically saying the MAC has the worst two teams in the country. So,
no,
but you said
bullshit. I'm sorry.
Listen. So you said 131.
Absolutely ridiculous.
You said 131. That's where Delaware is on this ranking.
Wow.
Delaware's 131. They got Missouri State at 123. So now, if you're a UMass fan or player, you're pissed about that, right? Again, UMass hasn't given you anything, right, to get those higher previews. But the fact that two teams that have never played an FBS season come in, they're both ranked higher. Now you're kind of like, all right, that pisses me off, right?
Yeah, look, I'm glad. Again, I'm glad. Good. Okay, so, but dude, what would they given them? 131, like I said, or 120.
Correct.
Big deal. I'd rather be the second to last and say, guys, are you shitting me? Like, this is not going to happen this year. And poor Kent State, by the way. Where's Julian Edelman? We should get him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like the guys at Curse of You said, UMass has to earn it. They do. They got to earn that respect, and I think this is the year they do it. So let's go. Athlon now.
Yeah.
Athlon now, 136. Where are they at?
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. Maybe they give them a little more respect. 131.
Nope. They must have talked to each other. 135. Kent State at 136. They have Ball State at 134. So Athlon thinks the three worst programs in the nation are all in the MAC. Let's go. Where do you think they have? This is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
We'll go with Missouri State first. Missouri State's not going to blow your mind. Where do you think they have Missouri State at?
128.
131.
Oh.
Where do you think they have Delaware at?
124.
113.
Wow. I mean, look, I haven't followed him as close as I used to, but Ryan Carty, who I know was a player back when we were calling the games, he was the backup to Joe Flacco. Really funny story. We can get into that down the road, but like he was, he's now the coach and he's been great. I mean, I think, the players love, working under him and, he relates to the guys and, I think they'll do well. I don't know if that's in the mix in the rankings there, but that's a pretty high praise. To just
the funny thing, if we were doing this podcast back when UMass transitioned to the FBS and we looked at these rankings, they probably would have given them the benefit of the doubt as an outstanding 1AA FCS program, and they probably would have been like 120 or 118. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but the thing that bothers me is if you go to some of the top teams year after year, and I'll always say this, and I know they had a better year, but like a Texas, every friggin' year they rank Texas in the top 15, of the polls, and the real poll, right, the AP poll, whatever, before the season even starts, just because they're Texas. It doesn't even matter what kind of year they had before or after, or if they're even gonna suck. They're we throw them in the big, they're always highly ranked. So it's when you're highly ranked like that, you got to really suck and lose 2 or 3 games to finally drop out of the rankings. It's everybody else has got to bust their butt to get into the top 25. You know what I mean? It's it's so unfair. It's when you get started there, you get so much leeway. Now get it, Alabama. That's fine. That's valid, I feel like. But they have the ability to lose 1 or 2 early, and they don't even drop that far. Then they climb back in. You got to go undefeated, or you got to go.
To your point,
one. And you're
to your point, I've said this before. They're never going to do away with the preseason rankings, and everyone's like, "Well, those rankings don't matter because not until November when the CFP comes in. Those are the rankings that matter," which is true. But here's the thing, Mike. Here's the thing. What is the CFP committee? What are they basing their rankings on? They're basing them on what's already ranked in the AP. And so
you can't,
if you really want it,
completely put somebody somewhere not even close to the
AP. If you truly wanted a completely unbiased, fair system, you would put no rankings out, no preseason rankings, and no rankings all year long. You just let them play, and then the CFP in November, when they put their first ranking, they'll never happen. But my point is, like you said, because inevitably we know every single year, okay, there's going to be someone in the top 10, top 5 that's going to end up falling out like a lead balloon. Happens every year. And they're going to have someone that's maybe in the top 25 or maybe not that's going to shoot up. It happens every year. We know that.
Why the hell doesn't the CFP do the rankings to the beginning of the season then? Why do they have to wait? What the hell's up with that? Just have another.
Well, no, because they do that because of what we just said. They don't want to just put rankings out there because what is a preseason ranking? You're basing it on really what the team did the year before, what they have coming back, and maybe what they got in recruiting. But the reality is these teams are all different, especially with the portal. You change a quarterback, that can change the whole dynamic. Yeah, I get it. Ohio State has got a lot of talent. They're the reigning national champion. But if Julian's saying their quarterback, if he isn't as – there's my microphone. I'm getting excited. If he's not as good as everyone thinks, you're screwed. Right. Quarterback's the most important position. So the CFP says, well, we're going to wait because we want to see a body of work, which I agree with. None of the other publications are going to do that because, listen, that's what it's about. It's about buying magazines. It's about clicking on articles. It's about clicking on websites. So
I get it. But at that point in the season, the AP ranking, too, has also figured itself out. And that's pretty legit, by 2 months into the season where everybody's ranked. So then the CFP comes on. And, of course, they're going to be pretty similar to that.
But I do agree with you. If you have let's say you have a top 5 ranking preseason, okay, in all the polls.
Right.
If you're really not that good, you're really more like a top 20. You probably should have been 23 or 24 to start.
That's what I'm saying.
They're at an advantage as opposed to a team that they maybe rank 18 or 19 that you're like, oh, that was really a top 10 team. It's harder for them to get up there. I agree with that.
Yeah, they got to go undefeated, and then they maybe sniff into the top 10. Like I said, if you're number 5 and you lose 2 or 3 games, you're still right there in the mix. Yeah. I don't know. It's such a joke, but yeah. No, the preseason rankings today, you can't even really. But I'll tell you what, though, I think of the 136, to be 135, that's got to be. Come on, So it's but hey, good, light a fire, and they already know. It's just, but. That is interesting.
I thought this was interesting. In Athlon, they ask assistant coaches in the league, right, about different teams. So this was a quote here I wanted to read. I thought it was interesting. This coach said, it's an unnamed coach. They don't name him.
Okay.
Moving to a league is going to help them recruiting players for the rebuild. They're not going to be good, but they might be better than the very bottom of the league, like Kent. So the guy throws Kent under the bus too. They have some good offensive linemen right now, and Joe Harris-Simiak is pushing the line of scrimmage on both sides, which he is, being really hard-nosed and fighting. They just don't really have the bodies to do that successfully through an entire season. It's a long-term effort here. I don't want to call it a rebuild because they don't really have a concept for success. The program has been out on an island for a long time and is a death sentence for coaches. But moving to a league is a step in the right direction. So really, not much positive there from that assistant coach. I do agree they were on an island as independent, and it was really hard for coaches. But again, I bring up UB. A 180 can be done. There's no doubt about it, especially in this conference, especially with what they're doing. And again, if you haven't been paying attention, they killed it again this week in recruiting, okay? Yes. So if you want to know what UMass is doing in recruiting the transfer portal, go to MinutemanCommand.com. Guys, it's free if you haven't already gone there. Sign up. There's articles, there's interviews, there's videos. Everything you want in the recruiting world is at MinutemanCommand.com. And when you sign up for free, by the way, you get this podcast emailed to you. Yeah. So you don't have to search for it. It's there whenever you want to watch it. So do that. But the guys, Christian McCollum, all the guys, MinutemanCommand.com, Dave Bowden, who's killing it for us, producing today, they do phenomenal job. So go there. So Joe and his staff has done a really nice job recruiting, a good mixture of portal recruiting. I said it on Twitter the other day, and I know I'm positive, and people call me a cheerleader. That's fine. I'm a former UMass player. I'm a UMass alum. I'm gonna be positive, okay? Because I believe it. I have never been more optimistic than I am this year. I just think finally everything's in place for that turnaround. I just do.
A couple things, like you said, yeah. Christian, David, Tommy Guy as well from
Tommy, yep.
And I just saw the article this morning about Christian Alvarez, right, the New Jersey offensive lineman there.
Lineman
for 2026. That's huge. Again, it's really cool because you really feel more part of the program now. You're getting these emails, you're reading up on the recruits, you see, what they're doing here, and it's like it's pretty impressive. So definitely get in there, sign up. We'll be doing this all year long. Can't wait for the season, right? We'll have a ton of stuff to talk about when that happens. I was just looking through the schedule real quick. It's like, what are they going to say when UMass goes to Kent State on October 11th, right? Hey, the worst two teams. I'd love to see what the records are. Got to have that one, Rene. Kent State, October 11th.
Yeah, no, exactly. And a couple things before we get out of here, because I was doing a little research. So UMass fans, we need to get, and not that it's a big deal, but I look at weird things. So I looked at all 13 football programs' X accounts, Twitter accounts.
Oh, okay.
UMass has the least amount of follows of all the teams in the MAC. So 61,000 followers for UMass football. The next closest is Buffalo at almost 70,000. There's a bunch of schools in the MAC, well over 100,000 followers. So let's up our X game, fans. Let's start following UMass football, okay?
Yeah, hold on. What's Kent State have?
More. I'll look them up real quick. I had them on my phone because I looked them all up yesterday. I didn't write it down, but I'll let you know in 1 second.
Yeah, we got to have that too. And here on Minuteman Command as well, you guys. Sign up, follow us on Twitter. I'm with you. I mean, I told
go ahead. What do you think Kent State has in followers?
Well, now that you said that the 60, I mean, they're got to be over 100.
A little over 98,000.
98,000
followers. Yeah, we have 61,000.
Wow. All right, that's got to change.
So let's go. Let's up that game, folks. And then some national news just came out. You saw the Pac-12 signed a TV deal with CBS going through 2030, 31. They still need an eighth football school. They got 8 teams, but obviously Gonzaga doesn't play football, so they need that 8th football school. And again, we talked about it in the last pod. All eyes look at Texas State out of the Sun Belt. That's going to be that 8th football school.
And here's the thing. You were saying earlier, like they're not going to be – it's not a Power 5 or whatever.
Pac-12 is now considered that's why it's going to be Group of 6 and Power 4. They don't have power autonomy with this new conference. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
All right. Well, look, we got a lot of good stuff still to go. We're going to catch you in July next time, and boy, then we're less than 2 months away, really, from the start. Of the season.
Go jump in that pool, buddy. Everyone, enjoy the great weather up north. Okay.
I'm like you in Florida now. Have a great week, man.
See ya.
See you guys.